It's Christmas Day night, and that can oftentimes be one of the better parts, the better times of the festive and oftentimes very full Christmas season. So I'd like to just take a few minutes to reflect on what it might mean for you and me to take seriously Christmas night, and then to think about memories of the past, and simply to wonder, what happens when a good friend dies at Christmas time? That's coming up on Radio on the Edge. It's been a wonderfully quiet day. Just exactly what I was hoping for. We've obviously been very busy with all of the activities that go into church and go into family and friends at this Christmas time. A lot of trips to the airport, a lot of attending to things, making things happen. And then there was the church service on Christmas Eve, and we were very much involved in that. And then, of course, there was a sound system problem, so yours truly, the guy who knows radio, came in to try and fix that. And so even though it was a nice time, it was kind of a furious and frenzied time trying to make sure that happened for everybody else. But then, as Christmas Eve came, and since family was no longer here, we invited a few friends who were also a little bit family orphaned to come over, and we had a wonderful, very quiet and thoughtful time on Christmas Eve. And today my wife and I have simply enjoyed the time of getting up and remembering times, connecting with our family around the world via text and phone, and then quietly thinking about what God may have in store for us as we go into 2018 with both many challenges in many ways and many opportunities for service and contribution and good things in many ways. And so what will the year, the start over year, and that's a nice thing about a new year, what will that be like? And that's a little bit about what I've been thinking about on this quiet Christmas Day and Christmas Day night. Yep, all of the furious and sound and fury activity is now past, and soon the Christmas season will pass. The New Year's celebration will be a little quieter, at least for me, but hopefully a time that will reflect a coming commitment to making new things happen in 2018. Christmas is always a little bit of a bittersweet time because there are some very significant people in my life. In fact, one of the things I'm going to encourage you people to do as you're thinking about life is list some of the significant people that have been in your past and perhaps are in your life right now. People who you admire, people who you depend on, people who have made an exceptional contribution to your life and to what you've become and what you hope to become. Who are those significant seven? Well, in my significant seven, there's a man I'll just simply call Pastor Carl. And Pastor Carl changed my life significantly in so many ways, rescued me in many ways. And Pastor Carl died a number of years ago, way too soon for me and many people, but he died on Christmas Eve. And many of us thought of how sad we were, but at the same time, he was a man who very much wanted to see Jesus, and so on the coming day of Jesus coming, he came to Jesus. And so even though Christmas is always a celebration time, every Christmas Eve day and every Christmas I remember the passing of Pastor Carl. And so what do you do when a good friend dies at Christmas time? How do you think about that? What do you feel about that? Now, we had a very unusual situation in our church this past day, Christmas Eve. One of the good members of our church had been diagnosed with a terminal illness, and he was put in hospice, and the hospice people said, doctors said, maybe he'll make it to Thanksgiving, but he'll be gone before Christmas. Well, Christmas Eve service, there he was, Not only did he leave the hospice, but he was in good enough shape to come to the Christmas Eve service and celebrate that with us. And so it was perhaps a small, maybe temporary, Christmas miracle that we all enjoyed. And I sat by him and he said, "It's good to be here." And indeed it was, to celebrate what is real and eternal and important in our lives. Family, a relationship to one another, a relationship to eternity, and a relationship to God, because that's what Christmas is all about. Not much about Santa Claus and all of the other stuff, but what is true and what is real. And you think about that on Christmas night. May I just ask you to do a couple things that, as an entrepreneur, you always need to be about. Years ago, Peter Drucker made a very interesting comment about his long-term management consulting, indeed the guru of management consulting, at least in the Western world. And he said, the man or woman of exceptional entrepreneurial business is the one who figures out the right combination between thought and action. There's a famous entrepreneurial coach on television who simply says this. He said, "Entrepreneurs are not dreamers, they're doers." And I understand what that means. I've been accused of being a dreamer way too often, and perhaps I've been less able to match the dream with the doing. But it's not quite right. Yes, you might be and have to be a doer, but you also have to be a thinker. And the power to do oftentimes comes from the fact that we think about things, we reflect upon things. So thinking and acting in the right combination is what we seek to do. And as you're looking at the new year, perhaps you want to find some principles and practices that will help you do just that. And one of those things is to do what I just said, the significant 7. A lot of your life will be based on the people who you model yourself after, the people you admire, the people who've made a difference in your life. And perhaps you need to give some time and attention just to identify who they are, who they were, who they might be, the people who can help you by their memory, their present momentum, or perhaps the future vision they can give you. Who are they? Who are your significant 7? On this Christmas Day Eve, and perhaps in the week that's before us, you'll take some time to think about those people, perhaps to contact them if you can, to call them up and appreciate them and say that you look forward to their help and counsel and their wisdom and their very lifestyle that you admire in the year ahead. Who are your significant 7? Something else I would ask you to think about in our short time together tonight. Many people now will start the idea of what are your New Year's resolutions and intentions, your New Year plans, and we all know all of the jokes and all of the stuff about that. Most of them are never fulfilled. The people who are going to flood the gyms on January 2nd, by March 2nd, it'll be back to normal as our resolutions and intentions seemingly don't have the energy and the motivation that most of us would like them to have. So what do? May I just ask you as an entrepreneur to do this? Don't think about your resolutions, your resolves, your intentions, but think a little bit differently this year. You see, as an entrepreneur, you will make your mark by what you do, but it will be primarily what you create. What are some of the creations? What do you want to create? Whether it's a product, whether it's a service, whether it's a new product, new service, whether it's a new relationship, a new strategy, creating a new way of making your business work better. Perhaps you're going to create a radio program. We're going to help you do that because you understand, don't you, that the internet radio will be one of the key marketing things and doings out there in the future. Storytelling, teaching, If your business does not have a way of connecting to people online except for perhaps a stale old website and a Facebook page, you unfortunately are way in the past of where the future will be in terms of how to use the internet platform that is before us. Hopefully one of the things we'll do on the Christian Entrepreneur Network and on Radio on the Edge will keep you on the edge of things so that you can be better and best at the things you create. So may I ask you to think about that? May I ask you to think about getting a coach, getting a mentor? May I ask you to think about describing yourself in what we will call a trinity of talents? What are the 3 words that best describe not your business, but you and what you do for others? 3 words that describe you. Not your position, not your title, not your job description, but what words best describe what you do to help others. Think about that along with the 7 significant people. And then, as I pointed out, I'd like you to know, perhaps to write down and think about this week, what will be the things that you will, not resolution, but you will be involved in creation. What are you going to create in 2018? So in this quiet time, on a Christmas Day night, I hope you'll take some time to think deeply, to certainly reflect, to give praise and thanks, to pray for wisdom, insight, truth, courage, faith, hope, all those good things. Pray that you'll be a blessing to others, and at the same time, you will experience the best of God's blessings yourself. Something to think about, something to want and wish for and pray for, and perhaps do your part in bringing about in 2018. It'll be here in just 7 days. I'm Stan Houston. This is Radio on the Edge. Just a few short 15 minutes on this Christmas Day night. Thank you for your time. Perhaps you're listening to this later in the week, but do these exercises, and we'll be talking as we go through Tuesday through Friday of this in-between week between Christmas night and the New Year's Day. Something that will be hopefully helpful and useful and practical so that your 2018 will be one of the better years ever. At least you'll be better prepared to take advantage of both of the opportunities and the adversities that will come your way. And as one of my mentors says, and be grateful for both. How about that? Be grateful for the adversities and the opportunities. I'd love to hear from you. Raise your hand and let me know that you are listening. Tell others, please, and that you'd like to have a part. You'd like to perhaps share a little wisdom, insight, and truth on Radio on the Edge. RadioEdge77 at gmail.com. RadioEdge77 at gmail.com. Check us out at tcentrepreneur.org, tcentrepreneur.org. And we trust that you will have a great 2018 and will have a good and grateful and graced year together. Till next time, on Radio on the Edge, I'm Stan Houston. Bye for now.